Alright, so I think we're ready to move on to the base. You can see the paint has had some time to dry and to cure, so it's not tacky to the touch anymore. The decals look pretty cool. You know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to address this right now. These little pieces, they're not actually yellow. On the filming model, well, excuse me, the studio model, they're gold. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fix that right now before we even move on. So we're going to use some gold paint and we're going to touch up these sections. Now that looks a lot better. That looks a lot more like the studio model. And you guys can see from the yellow to the gold. It tones it down. So let's do the other side. Yeah, that looks good. And again, it tones it down. That looks a little more like what I was going for with the studio model. Alright, see how much better that looks? I'll put up the picture of the studio model and this, you can see it's a lot more true to the model. Alright, that's better. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the base. You can see we got the wires that are coming out through the bottom of the ship. And this is going to be about the base. So when it comes to the base, I had some different ideas. I love the fact that the base is actually clear. So what I want to do is I want to actually put lights in the base so that it can actually go up and illuminate the ship. Just like in one of my favorite pictures of this from the TV series, it had the light coming up from underneath and it had that ominous kind of color. What I want to do is, when we're going to mount this onto the base, we're going to have it where the base is actually going to light the bottom of the ship. And I had some different ideas on what to do with it. I'm thinking that I've already made the decision that we're going to plug this in. There's not going to be batteries. So we're going to have the plug coming out of there. And let me show you guys. We're going to wire the base, and this is going to come out right about there. We're going to put it in the middle, and it'll be right about there. We're going to wire all the lights in the base. I'm thinking about using the LED strips, and we're going to wire the lights in the ship. And when this is going to be out, what we're going to do is we're going to take the male, and when we put it in, it'll light up. And then when you want to disconnect it, you can disconnect it for movement, and it's easy to for storage or what have you. But I think that's what we're going to do. So we've got these that are going to be set up. Now when it comes for the bottom of the base, I was thinking of different ways to put the lights in. I think what I'm going to do, let me actually move the ship now. And I think what I'm going to do is, I was thinking about different ways to light the base. And to glue to the bottom of the top of the base kind of defeats the purpose why I was happy to get a transparent base. So what I came up with, the logical alternative, would be to put something on the bottom and glue the top of the base on to make it more like there's a floor in there. And then I would attach the LED lights. So I was thinking, what can I use that could actually be good for this, what we need it for? And I recently got something in the mail, our AC unit, and I had gotten some paneling. And I figured, you know what, this is going to be perfect. This would be absolutely what we need. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to outline it. As you guys can see, it's not a perfectly shaped triangle. It's got like slight curvature in the design. And I think it's going to be perfect. Let me put this aside for what we need. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to cut this out. I think I'm going to use the scroll saw. That way there we can get a nice clean cut. And then I'm going to sand it down a bit, and eventually I'm going to paint it. And then, after we have it all nice and painted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the lights into place on here with the wires, and the plug is going to come out, and then we can reattach everything from the ship so that everything will light up on its own. I think it's going to look really cool. So why don't we go ahead? I'm going to take this right now. We're going to go downstairs, and I'm going to use the scroll saw, and we're going to cut this out. Okay, so we got it cut out, and I smoothed down the edges and the sides. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it the same color as the bottom of the ship. Make sure we get the edges. All right, we'll let that dry a bit, and then we'll do the other side. So it had a little bit of time to dry, just enough, again, not to let it cure, just so it's dry to handle, and then I'll bring it inside and let it cure before we move on. But you can see, I got a coat on. I think I'm gonna do both sides real quick. And that's going to go on the bottom, so it doesn't have to be magnificent, but I want to do it where it's still going to look presentable. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Hopefully all those little waves will go away, but again, that's just for the bottom part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off this, and I'm going to put it on a fresh piece of paper so it doesn't stick. But after it's dry, we'll move on. Okay, so it had some time to dry, And this is the side that's going to go on the back of this. And again, it's not meant to be perfect, just to protect it and to give it a little bit of color so it doesn't look like a piece of paneling. Let me show you how it's going to go. What I'm going to do is after we're going to put the base, we're going to glue it onto the board. And we get it lined up there. I think it'll look pretty cool. And that way there, we can light the inside of the base and it'll shine up on the ship with that ominous glow, kind of like it did on the series, hopefully. All right, so that's the plan. And incidentally, this is the plan. I'm going to put the LED lights around the edges of the triangle. We're going to wire it. We're going to put it to the plug. And eventually we'll get the wires coming down from the Klingon ship itself and we'll tie it all together. So that's the plan. So let's put the base down. I got the LED tape. And let's see, measure it out. I'll probably go with that. That should be good. You can actually see where they want you to cut for the contacts. So, we'll do it. You know what, that's a pretty good length. Let's do that 3 times. So we got the, and right about there. So, see how easy this stuff is? Wonderful to work with. We'll give that a moment to heat up. And I just want to make sure I get the angle. Because it may look symmetrical, but it's actually not. I've got to line up the right part. Alright, so that's how it goes. Just like that. So, and we're going to put a piece running down either side. We're going to stay far enough in where the it's not going to come in contact with the wall of the base. So, we'll put that on all 3 sides. And then we'll solder it. So you can see it has the peel, the stick peel on the back. And it's got the adhesives, so we just take that off. Alright, so that's all set. We don't need a ton of glue. And it's going to go just like that. There. And that way there, it's going to, you can be sure that this is not going to come off. And it's going to last. So, let's go ahead and we'll do the other sections. That, and we got the last side. Hopefully I have enough glue in the stick. Yeah. Alright, well, that's good. I'll put this on. There. And that is all set. Now we're all set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump some wires, and we don't have to do down here. So what I'll do is we'll bring the circuit up, we'll close it here, and we'll close it here, and then we'll jump off this section, and that'll go out for the plug. And of course, when we bring down the wires from the ship, we can jump back into that. So let's get the wires ready. And we're going to separate them. I might need my, I'm going to just do it this way. And like I said, we're going to bring these two parts together. So we're going to jump this. And let's see, we got the negative. See the negative, hope you can see that, is going to be on the outside, and the positive is going to be on the inside. So we don't need a lot. So let's take the negative first. We'll do it like that. There, we got the little jumper, and that'll be for the negative. And we'll do the same thing for the red. The positive is going to be a lot shorter. All right. And they're both going to connect, but they're going to come up and we're going to wire them together. Unfortunately, because the base is clear, it's going to be kind of tough to hide the wires in the base. I'm going to do my best to kind of place them where they won't look like it's just a bunch of wires, but it's going to be a little challenging. So let's get the wires prepped. All right. So we got the wires all set to go. We got the bleeds, we got the positive and the negatives, and of course this is going to go onto the outside. This is going to go to the main plug, and we'll get to that later. But this is the part we're going to use on the inside, and you can see there's a lot of wire that we're not going to need. So, all right, we'll put that aside for a minute, and we got to get the solder equipment, and we need the solder, and we're going to use the flux. Remember, without the flux, it's just the solder is not going to stick, and well, you're going to give yourself a nightmare for nothing. Okay, so let's start with solder. We're going to start with this side. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some solder onto the leads. All right. We get that one on. Let's do the same thing with the positive lead. Alright, now what I got to do now is I have to put a little crimp in the wires so we can go ahead and bend them. Okay, so you can see how we jumped the strips, and I like to keep the wires short. And let's go ahead, and now we're going to do the leads onto this side. So that's okay. We put it over here, we cut the wires down, and now we're ready to think about putting in the plug. So when we got let me show you guys what it's going to look like. Lined up. So hopefully it's not too bright. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the plug in. I'm thinking about doing it maybe in the middle of the back. I didn't want to go too fast. I wanted to get it all nice and smooth, so we might have to bring it out just a little bit. You see, we're going to put in the wires. We might have to widen the hole. Yeah. Here we are. And I think what I'm going to try to do is, instead of using the hot glue, because that'll show, I'm going to try putting some super glue on it, and we'll see how that holds. Give that a second. You guys can see how it's in there, so hopefully it's going to take. All right, so now what to do with this, because again, actually let's get this put away. So here's the floor of the base. And let's see, we're going to need about, you know, it's better to have too much than too little. So let's go with this. Yeah. Okay, so it's going to go like this onto the back. So let's get the wires all together. All right. So for the sake of showing you guys, it's going to go like that. And remember, we're not gluing this yet. We'll go in and we'll clean everything up. And I might cut the wires, or we might run them along the edge. But for now, this is how it's going to go. And of course, we'll clean up these little bits of pieces that are in the bottom on top of the base. But just to show you how it's going to look. All right, so what we can do now is we can go ahead and we can drill the neck. Because we got this section that's going to go right there. So we're going to drill the area that the wires are going to pass. There we go. You've got to be careful because this has gotten brittle over the years. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with the top of the ship. We have the wires coming out. And the way the base is going to support the ship, you've got this little line that's going to go right there. So right about on the inside where the point is. Yeah. So it should be a little good. If we need to, we can channel it just a bit more for the wires. That's the only thing there's just no way around it. The fact that it's clear. I thought about doing the sides and painting them this color and painting the tip where the point is, but I think that would be too much. I don't want the base to take away from the ship. But it's the way it's looking right now. And it's all set to mount the ship on. And again, we're not gonna permanently glue the top yet because we have to, well, we gotta mount the ship on. And we still have to pass the wires from the ship through the arm into the back to the plug. So let's go ahead, and speaking of the plug, let's take care of the plug right now. Okay, so let's attach these. Maybe I should bring these out a little bit more. All right, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna solder this. So let's take the base for now. We'll put this aside. Yeah. And we're gonna put some flux on these. All right, that's all set. Yeah, just because I don't want them touching, making contact. There we go. I wish I had some of that shrink wrap, the shrink tubing, but I don't have any more. So for now, this will have to do until another time. All right, so that's all set. Now we can plug this in, and if all goes according to plan, the base will light up. Again, the base isn't glued together yet because we still have to run the wires through from the ship, and then we'll solder everything. Now, just to show you guys, we're going to take the plug, we're going to put it in to the back, and let's unplug the soldering iron, and it should be all set. You guys can see the base all nice and lit up. And what I wanted was to give that kind of the ominous glow onto the ship. So maybe it's a little more light going onto the ship, but I think it looks pretty cool. I think that looks pretty cool. And again, we're going to have the wires coming from the ship going in, and I'm going to solder them to the lead coming in. But that's the base. I had wanted to do some special tribute to Matt Jeffries, but I think what I'm going to do is the next one that I do, I'm going to do only the filming model as opposed to the studio model. So we'll do that one, and that one's all gray. Yeah, we'll do a little more of a tribute to Matt Jeffries with that one. But this was the base, and now we're ready to move on. Don't look now, but we're ready to move on to the final assembly.